We can all agree that Spotify's algorithmic playlists are incredibly important to actually pushing your song out to a big bulk of people, no matter what way you're promoting your music. But how do you actually get on these Spotify algorithmic playlists? Well, aside from all my trial and error with ads that I've done on this channel, I also spent 3 hours watching like developer conferences and interviews with people on the team describing how the algorithm works so that I can boil it down to this kind of super simple, like less than 10-minute video for you to consume and understand how it all works. First, let me show you an example using one of my songs so I can kind of describe the types of algorithmic playlists that are important and how your graphs will look when you actually utilize this, and so you actually know that I know what I'm talking about. If I go to my screen here, this is my actual live Spotify for Artists. I can click refresh, and this is the actual data. There's no fudging here. The song came out this day, and this was all promoted with ads. And basically, the song got super good data because I tracked it. I know exactly that my save rate was 30 to 40, 50% before it actually hit the algorithmic playlists. And well, we'll get into that more later, but once it actually hit this 1 week mark, on the second Friday, it got pushed to release radar. And not just people that follow me, people that don't follow me and who have never heard of me. So this gave me a massive spike over that weekend. Now the song still performed good. And if I look at the data for that weekend, you can see that the save rate was still 27%. Then what happened is on Monday, that's when Spotify updates Discover Weekly. The song got in Discover Weekly. And then so it kind of rode this wave, got, I guess, past this release radar week. And then the second week of Discover Weekly, it hit another wave. Rides that for a week. And then again, Discover Weekly starts riding that wave again. And that's the kind of algorithmic playlist that I'm talking about. And there are more. There's like repeat listens and stuff like that. But that's the reason why you want to understand what's important to Spotify to actually trigger these algorithmic playlists. So now I'm going to describe the multi-tiered algorithm Spotify uses and then the type of metrics that are most important for actually triggering these algorithmic playlists. The way that their algorithm works is this 3-tiered method. The main method, which is kind of what YouTube is also based on, is called collaborative filtering. And this just means that if 1 million people all listen to a bunch of songs, if there's a bunch of them that are listening to the same songs and a lot of them like this other song that most of the people haven't heard, Spotify can say, well, all these people like these songs in common, and then a bunch of these people like this other song that most of them haven't heard. Let's show it to those other people because they'll probably like it too. That's collaborative filtering in a nutshell, letting your users determine through their behavior what's actually good and relevant to those people. And the next thing is they use kind of audio analysis. So Spotify generates this kind of detailed thing of how danceable your song is, what key it's in, the tempo. And there's a few other metrics that I don't even necessarily fully understand, but it does an acoustic analysis of your track to figure out, in terms of the style and the production, what it's most similar to. And Spotify relies on that data during the kind of first few days where it doesn't have the collaborative filtering. And then the last piece of this is they use something that I don't know if there's a fancy name for it, but it's basically web crawling. It's similar to what like Google would do on this search results. It goes through the web and it looks for, it kind of searches the artist and the song and tries to see if it finds any blog posts, any websites, any PR around the song, and it uses that to correlate related artists. It might correlate if like two artists are kind of constantly working together, then it might recommend songs in a different way. And those three things combined in some kind of unknown method, you know, we don't know which one has more weight, but that's how they determine exactly like what people should listen to next. So now let's get into the meat and potatoes of what data on Spotify actually drives these algorithmic decisions. How does Spotify use that collaborative filtering? What specific data points are most important in determining that? Well, there's a big list, so I'm just going to kind of go through these and share in kind of like most important to still important, but less important. Number one, essentially, is the listen rate. If someone's skipping the song a lot, or a bunch of people are skipping the song, it's probably an indicator that it's a bad song. And that kind of ties also into the quality metrics of a song. Aside from people skipping, there's also the save rate of the song. And that's something that I explicitly track in that Excel spreadsheet. Sorry, I don't know why this got so small. But I track the save rate because that's something Spotify cares about. And then next we have the listen rate. How many times does a listener listen to the song? And when did they listen to it? Like if someone listens to the song 50 times in a day and then never listens to it again, that's not the same as if they listen to it a couple times that day and then a couple times a few days later. Like, you know, there's a difference in how that correlates to quality. So that's one of the things that Spotify is actually looking for. Now next, there's a whole bunch of other things that are harder to track because Spotify doesn't give you the data. But if someone listens to the song, do they follow the artist? If someone likes the song, do they check out the album? Do they check out another song by the artist? If someone adds it to their playlist, do they listen back to that playlist? Are they adding it to the playlist in the first place, and are they adding it to multiple playlists? And Spotify is actually tracking how long people look at the album the song is on, how long they look at the profile of the artist that made the song. Just like on Instagram, they track the screen time. On YouTube, they track the watch time. And that's all this collaborative filtering. If people are doing all these kind of high-intention, high-quality actions, it probably means the song's good, so they correlate all that data to drive their recommendation engine that is Release Radar, Discover Weekly, and a few other playlists that they have. And I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it until I'm blue in the face, but if I go back to this look here, you can see that just driving with ads, you can get great results, but the volume that comes from these algorithmic playlists is just so staggering. I think it's important to pay attention to. And the way you get that is with great data, which you don't get from playlists. Playlist listeners are not your fans. They're just people that hear your song and don't know who you are. I got that 40% save rate and a bunch of repeat listens, and not even playlist pitching. The song is on 661 playlists. So all that stuff is important, and this is the first song I cared about it, and the first song that actually took off on the algorithmic playlist, to the point where 31% of all the 43,000 streams in the song are from, well, mostly Discover Weekly and Release Radar. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, that information is great, but how do I actually do that? And there's a couple of ways. First of all, you can check out my music marketing playlist right here, but I also have a Patreon where I actually posted this information like a week ago, and I'm working on a course that only has 20 seats left in the beta launch that you can check out in the link in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.